Good morning, fellow Malaysians. This is Matthias Chang once again from Future Fast Forward. What I'm going to address today relates to the events that occurred a few days ago. The Congress of Malay Dignity. Let me say to all my Muslim brothers and sisters, my Malay brothers and sisters, I hear you before the Congress, during the Congress, and after the Congress. And I can say with utmost humility and honesty, I feel your pain, your embarrassment, your humiliation, and your hurt following especially the defeat of the Barisan Nasional on May 9th, 2018. But that defeat of Barisan Nasional, of which UMNO is the backbone, has a direct consequence and the result of the criminality, the very evil of the Najib kleptocrat. The wanton plunder, raid of our country financially and politically, and more gruesome and sinister is the betrayal of the Malay community as a whole. Although the Handar Kadu suffered from his action, but especially the Malay community, when this man, the son of the second Prime Minister of Malaysia, destroyed the legacy of Felda with all his schemes and corporate moves, and thereafter, using his authority and power, amassed a huge fortune in the billions US and ringgit terms. That said, let me assure everyone in our country, whenever you go overseas, in the days gone by, we were respected. Foreign countries and citizens, tourists and what have you, heap praise upon us of our achievement. Since then, shame, humiliation, pain have been suffered by one and all. As a result, been known as Malaysia a kleptocracy, the worst kleptocracy in the world history. Now we can react or respond to those insults, pain and humiliation in a positive way or in a negative way, and get emotionally aroused so as to lose our logic, objectivity, all right, and the rational mind. And having heard what transpired at the Congress, and thereafter the reportage of what transpired therein, I do not have the time to analyze each and every speech or comments or reportage. But suffice to say, I would like to highlight two issues, right, that to me hurts me a lot, deeply, as a citizen of Malaysia, as a fellow brother, and to my brothers and sisters in Islam and the Malay community. For one of them said this: at Malay Congress, past MP wants Sunni Islam made official religion of the Federation. Reported by the Malay Mail, all right? This is the article I downloaded, okay? All right? Now, let me show to you. He says here, this MP, the government should amend the federal constitution to make the Sunni denomination the only permissible school of Islam in the country. Pasir Mas MP Ahmad Fadil Shari said. Amend Article 3.1 of the Federal Constitution to acknowledge that Islam based on the Ahli Sunnah wal Jama'ah is a doctrine and faith of the Federation. Alright? That's what he says. And then, the Abu Youth Chief, who is the son of my colleague, Dr. Duzuki, my fellow political secretary, when Tun Mahathir was the fourth Prime Minister, said this. At the Congress, about the Congress, Malay Dignity Congress, based on the reasons above, UMNO Youth once again urges Tun Mahathir Mohamad to do the right thing this time, before it's too late, to reunite the Malays by removing DAP leaders and certain racist PKR politicians from his government in order to restore Malay dignity as stated in the Congress Marwah Melayu open bracket Malay Dignity Congress today. The opposition party leader said on his official Facebook page. Blah blah blah. And this was reported in the Malay Mail entitled. Okay? So I've quoted to you verbatim what was reported in the Malay Mail. Not my words, as reported. Alright? Then he went on to say that the attempt to introduce the Rome Statute and ICERT was a purported attempt to erode Malay rulers' position and Malays' rights and privileges. So that would sum up to you some of the commands and views of those who attended or supported the Malay Dignity Congress. Alright? So you ask yourself, what has that got to do with the Malay Dignity Congress? I put to all of you that either the organizers, which comprise, I was told, some 4 or 5 universities of Malaysia, either they translate the word dignity from English to Malay, hence Marwah, or Malay Dignity Congress was a translation, literally from the Malay title, Marwah, dignity. So why am I so upset about this title? The word upset is the understatement. Because from what I've gathered, and I stand to be corrected, none of the speakers in their enthusiasm reaction to the defeat of Barisan Nasional and UMNO, right, at the 14th general election, and thereafter what they perceived as a loss of dignity, rights and power of the Malays, they chose a venue, a stance, and a narrative that we ought to reassert, reclaim Malay power, rights and privileges, and more importantly, the dignity of the Malays. Therefore, I wanted to say that I see this, therefore, as a contention by the powers that be, as well as Islamic scholars and teachers, either in the ignorance or arrogance, all right, to title the Congress, right, Malay Dignity. But I would like to suggest to the whole country, this is wrong, absolutely wrong, to have such a Congress based on this very key word, Malay dignity. Whereas in the Quran, the revelation from Allah himself, great extent of scholarly works discussion has been published on the word dignity. But the word dignity, as explained in the Quran, has no prefix or is prefaced by the word Malay dignity. On the contrary, that's why the Quran is so important. Dignity in the Quran is preceded or prefaced with the prefix human dignity. Hence, my address today, under this broad title, Human Dignity in the Holy Quran versus Malay Dignity in the Malay's Dignity Congress. There's a spelling mistake there. In the Malay, not Malays, in the Malay Dignity Congress. I repeat, my address will be focused on these two issues. Human dignity in the Holy Quran versus Malay dignity in the Malay Dignity Congress. Now, why did I say that? I've been seeing my past videos how various people has corrupted, distorted, and misrepresented the Quran, the revelation from Allah Himself to the Prophet Muhammad. Peace and blessing be upon him. And how is human dignity in the Quran explained? If you read the various surahs and the verses, may I sum up to you what I've learned and I said to be corrected, and I'm ready to debate with any Muslim scholars, Imam, Ustaz, or Mufti as to my understanding. But I'm very pretty sure that my understanding is based on solid ground. Human dignity, as revealed in the Quran, is a composite concept that embraces a variety of values. Keyword is values. Alright? Most important is the inviolability of the human person. We cannot violate the human dignity of humanity, of mankind. And the recognition of a set of rights and obligations of all of us, mankind, and that of society, and the responsibilities to uphold human dignity on the part of the states. And the Quran is very clear. Human dignity is the recognition of dignity of all human beings, regardless of color, creed, or race. Now, why do I say that? You know, over the period of the Congress, I spent time over the weekend in my office researching and studying the Quran. And I came across the Surah Al-Isra 1770. That is why the Quran talks about human dignity. Right? Human dignity transcends race, color, and creed. Why? Because we are God's creation. And if I may go to you, Surah Al-Isra 1770. Chapter 70, verse 70. We've honored the sons of Adam, provided them with transport on land and sea, given them for sustenance things good and pure, and conferred on them special favors, a great part of our creation. Okay? So, God, in His infinite wisdom, has created mankind, and right? And thereafter, ensured that human beings, humanity is special. Alright? So special that God gave a command and gave instructions that human beings, His creation, is even above the angels. Alright? And there were certain surahs and verses whereby, all right, an angel challenged. He said, why should I bow to the humankind, the human beings? And Allah said, you do not know what I know. You obey what I say. You must bow to humanity, to my creation. All right? So the humanity, human dignity is very special and a special place in the Quran. If I may quote a very distinguished Islamic scholar, Al-Alusi, and he observed that everyone and all members of the human race, including the pious and the sinners, are endowed with dignity. And I quote again, Google and research. Everyone and all members of the human race, including the pious and sinners, are endowed with dignity. And more importantly, his view is shared by many commentators, jurists, right? Islamic jurists. This is important to observe. Dignity is not earned by meritorious conduct. It is established as an expression of Allah's grace. And also dignity is also a natural and absolute right which inheres in every human being as at the moment of birth. This commentary is summation of the following surahs. Surah 7, verse 11. Surah 38, verse 72 and 75, 76. Surah 2, verse 30 to 38, to 32. And one scholar was more emphatic. He says there could be no affront to the human dignity of any single person without there being an affront to the dignity of all. Why? He says that if you affront a person's dignity, it's affronting the entire mankind. And this you will find in Surah Al-Nisa. Okay? And if I may quote to you, chapter 4, verse 1. O mankind, reverence your guardian Lord, who created you from a single person, created or of like nature, his mate, or from them twain, scattered like seeds, countless men and women. Reverence God, to whom ye demand your mutual rights, and reverence the wombs that bore you, for God watches over you. Meaning, we are part of mankind. An affront to any individual is an affront to mankind, as provided for in Surah Al-Nisa, verse 1. So, having prefaced to you very briefly the summation how dignity, rather human dignity, is approached and practiced by Muslims world over, why then are we, and these are scholars in universities, top clerics and politicians, organize a Congress on Malay dignity? I'm not saying you can't organize Congress of any kind or any subject, but the subject troubles me, the title. It shows a total ignorance or an attitude, right? What was it, ignorance? Being condescending of what is taught in the Quran, thereby creating confusion, misunderstanding, and by their action in the great hall, where 5,000 people or more attended, shows, right, a wrong picture of Islam. If Islam is peace, as surely it is, why would Abu Youth, not Ashraf, telling two Mahathir what to do? One this, one that, to unite Malays, to reclaim back dignity. You see, The English definition of dignity has no relationship with God, with Allah. Alright? And if I may quote from you the Cambridge Dictionary, right, on that word. It means being calm, serious, controlled behavior that makes people respect you. Even by English definition, was the behavior, the ranting of the UMNO youth chief and the past MP of amending the constitution and throwing away these dead personalities, right, DAP and PKR, as being calm, serious, and controlled behavior? Or is it full of wrecked emotion and infantile behavior? An example given by the dictionary is, he's a man of dignity and calm determination. And I think everyone should die with dignity. These are some illustration. Another definition was about dignity is the importance and value that a person has that makes other people respect them or make them respect themselves. Values. That encourages other people to respect you. So what other values are you talking about? Malay unity, Muslim unity is bangkang. Why? Look at Middle East. All are Muslims. They have never had peace since Second World War. Killing fellow Muslims at the behest of foreign imperial powers. And Saudi Arabia is the land where Mecca and Medina exist. And Palestine, Jerusalem, Al-Aqsa Mosque. Can you see the problem? What unity are there? When MP of past says there must be only one denomination of Islam in the constitution, we must amend Article 3. Only the Sunni denomination of Islam shall be accepted as the religion of the Federation. And I stand to be corrected. And I'm sure I'm right. At the time of the Prophet, peace and blessing upon him, there's only one agama, one Islam. When he died, there was only one agama, one Islam. The division of Sunni and Shia is not God created, but man-made. Man-made. And what did the Quran say? But all men and women, brothers and sisters, we were created by one source from God, from Allah. And yet, today, Sunni and Shias are fighting, as was the case when Iraq invaded Iran, financed by Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and the Gulf states. That division is artificial, man-made. Just as Christianity, Catholicism, Protestant, Baptist, Methodist, right? All kind of rubbish. Likewise with Buddhism and what have you. Every religion became divided after the death of the creator of that religion, or the founder of that religion, you see. Man is the mischief. So do we need, really, to reclaim dignity, to reclaim values, if those values are sacrosanct, all right, embodied in the Quran, all right? You just practice, and people will respect you by shouting in a congress, "Respect me! Give me the dignity!" You can't demand dignity. You have to earn respect. Even then, what does the Quran say? These are man-made aspirations, all right? Motivations, quite often relate to power, as a means to achieve power. So if I may invite all of you to say, Allah didn't ask you to assert, right, dignity for your race or what have you. There's only one dignity, that of human dignity. So what does Allah tell us to do? Right? In the midst of all this evil, the corrupt, the filth, the abuse, the barbaric wars. Alright? This is what Allah says. Surah Al-Tawbah, chapter 9, verse 31. The believers, men and women, are protectors one of another. They enjoin what is just and forbid what's evil. They observe regular prayers, practice regular charity, and obey God and His Messenger. On them will God pour His mercy, for God is exalted in power. Enough! Take to heart Surah Al-Tawbah, chapter 9, verse 21. That's all. Because whatever pain you suffer or humiliation because of the action of some other people, in our case, the former Prime Minister and his entourage, right? His regime, his cabal, his criminal syndicate, the whole country suffered. As I said in the beginning of my address, how you respond or react to that criminality reflects on you, your upbringing, and the religion you follow. If you say you are believers, and in the Quran, right, I'm not only one who follow the Quran are believers, because there are many passages which says that, right, even the Jews are believers, Christians who follow the book are believers, so long as they do not deviate from the path. Okay, so let's pause here. You will gain back and earn the respect and no dignity, human dignity, if all you do is right and join together what is just and forbid what's evil. That's all you need to do. Carry on doing good works, and by those exemplary works, you shine. You shine. You motivate. Alright? You inspire other people that you will restore through collective effort, discipline, resilience, what was lost, right, by the criminal actions of a handful of greedy, lustful leaders who betray not only the country, the citizens and the community, but Allah the Almighty. And what is the way to do that? How do you conduct yourself? How do you remain true to your values, to Islamic values? The Quran says, observe regular prayers, practice a regular charity, and obey God and His Messenger. On them will God pour His mercy, and God is exalted in power. So by being a good Muslim or a good Christian or whatever, you will show in the eyes of God that you have not been tainted with the criminality of former leaders. That whatever destruction, humiliation, pain that has been inflicted upon our country, upon all our citizens, right, we shall overcome. We shall overcome. It's just simple. Yet, you went on a congress, beating your chest, proclaiming you're a champion of your race. Is that what the Quran teaches you to do? Why focus on the Malays? I feel your pain. that your Malay leader betrayed you. But why must you arrogate to yourself that only you feel the pain, the humiliation, the insult? All right? I felt the pain. I felt the insult, but not the humiliation. Because I fought on the principle of justice and truth. The absolute truth of Allah the Almighty. You talk about pain and humiliation. What can be more humiliating to many people, but not to me, is to be arrested and charged as a terrorist and put to jail under Sosma. Like I said many times, Allah is great. Allah will pour His mercy. And I received mercy from God Almighty when I was in prison. I didn't ask for vengeance, or incite hate, or be personal against that criminal. But I was strengthened in my faith in humanity. That humanity will come forward and remove that stigma, that blot on the pristine page of our country's history. That one day I will be free. I did not run away to another country for refuge and safe haven, as many people do. Najib was in control of this country. He was very powerful. I could be in jail forever. I never say the judiciary was corrupt, the police was corrupt, because I have faith in humanity. The majority of people were good, and justice will prevail. I didn't run away. Even when my client Khairudin Abu Hassan was in jail, many people asked me, run, you'll be next. My short reply was no. I stand by my client, I stand by God, and I stand by my people. Justice will prevail, truth will prevail. Have I not said that to you in over 150 videos that I have published? I always conclude in every speech I make, justice will prevail, truth will prevail. Why? Because God, Allah, will pour His mercy for those who enjoy what is just and forbid what's evil. That will dignify you as a person, you as part of the community, part of the country, and part of the larger humanity. And people will respect you. You will not be treated like a leper because you went to jail. Your name will not be soiled. No one will ridicule you because you went to jail, because you went to jail for a principle, a higher principle, a sacrifice for God, for His truth, for His justice. Human dignity is also concerned with justice. Now, I'm not an expert in Sharia law, but Sharia law also have critical principles on human dignity. One of which was, if I can recall correctly, is isma. In English, is right, inviolability. You cannot violate any human being. You must show respect to your fellow human beings as part of mankind. All right? Go and research. My fellow Muslim brothers and sisters, Imam, Ustaz and Mufti. Why was that shown? Because earlier, I quoted this in a passage said that if you affront a single person, you affront the entire dignity of mankind. Just as the Quran says, right? If you murder one person, it's like murdering the entire humankind. Am I right? There is a passage, right, in the Quran. Same principles. You murder one, you murder all. You affront one, showing disrespect to one, it should respect to all the believers. Because we are the believers of one major principle. Alright? Obey. So, what have we learned from this experience? To my fellow brothers and sisters, you may like what I say. I can say from my heart, I study the Quran every day. I witness the fact. It saddens me that once again, there are people in our country who distort, misrepresent the true teaching of Islam. And they wear the religion on their lapel, as if they are the perfect or personification of being a good Muslim. The way they display themselves at the Congress, bravado, egoistic trips, and mouthing nonsense that make us non-Muslims doubt whether they are the true believers of Islam. Because if they were true believers of Islam and had humility, before attending that Congress, they would do the minimum, the bare minimum of doing research to read from the Quran, the Hadith. What is dignity? The dignity as enshrined in the Hadith in the Quran is always prefaced by the word human dignity. And human dignity, as a follow-up in the Hadith, in the Sharia, is also related to human rights. Check it out. I'm not talking about Isma. Okay? Human rights. Fundamental. And yet we have Abdul Youth Head condemning ISIL and Rome Statute on human rights. I forgot that OIC in 1981 came up with the Declaration of Human Rights in Islam. Human rights is to respect mankind, uphold the dignity of human beings, of mankind, of humanity. Declaration of Human Rights in Islam, an OIC document. And yet he condemned ISIL, alright, and Rome Statute. And the words are the various articles are more or less, right, matching. Thereafter, you have the Cairo Declaration of Human Rights. And the Arab Charter of Human Rights. My dear UMNO Youth Head, are you blind? Are you ignorant? Please have the humility. Stop speaking. Learn more, research more. Maybe, you just be able to make yourself right. Alright? Acceptable or be heard. Then maybe, just maybe, you deserve some respect and be treated accordingly. But you behave like a nincompoop, a spoiled brat, an infantile politician, seeking, right, bravado and recognition on the wrong basis. I feel sad for all of you. And you tell me, a non-Muslim, that I must learn more from you, learn from the Quran. I'm trying. What I read from the Quran is totally contradictory, opposite to what you preach and what you practice, especially what you practice. And to me, sad to say, the Congress is a very bad example of how Muslims behave themselves. Because you don't even understand the concept of dignity. From the perspective of Muslims, from the perspective of Islam, of the Quran. With that, I would like to conclude by saying once again, to all Malaysians, please do not react to any event or circumstance. Pause, think, research as to how we should empathize, extend our hand. As Allah says, adjoined what is just. Fine. They feel, my Malay brothers and sisters, my Muslim brothers and sisters, they feel extra pain. It doesn't matter whether there's any foundation for the extra pain or humiliation or suffering. They feel that way. As a fellow human being, we should empathize and tell them, we feel your pain, as I've done at the beginning of my speech. But the way you go about it is wrong. That's not the way to reclaim dignity. There's nothing to reclaim. Dignity is bestowed by Allah. If you suffer wrongly, if you feel pain wrongly because you're inflicted by a criminal, but you do good, you follow the path set by Allah, then Allah will pour His mercy. His blessing will be the healing balm of your humiliation, your pain, your suffering. Why? Because Allah is exalted in power. If you deserve it, it comes as a matter of time. The healing process and dignity, human dignity will be restored to our country. See, you must look at the bigger picture. Not your little, cocoon, or your self-interest and the ego perception. Please, I implore you. And then we are going, we will end up like any other Muslim states in the Middle East, because the external powers say and see, my God, we have a bunch of infantiles who can't even follow the Holy Quran, the revelation of the Almighty Allah. We will stir shit and make them kill each other. Then what happens? You will suffer more suffering, pain and humiliation than what Najib can ever do. Or be oppressed, occupied, raped, plundered and murdered by a foreign power. What do you say about that? Are you going to hold a congress and say, we want Malay dignity? Or do we say, we adjoin the whole country to stand up, be just, repair the damage, and move forward and scale the heights? We don't tell the world, we want dignity. They will just ignore you. Action speaks louder than words. With that, I conclude my address today and keep on urging you, surrender absolutely without condition to Allah. Have absolute faith that He will protect, defend and guide us under all circumstances, even during this trying time. Okay? Our country is suffering the humiliation, the pain and the shame of a kleptocrat. I therefore wish you a good day and God bless you one and all. Thank you.